This is not just someone missing. This is a professional killing.
Gee, I should have thought of that.
How much for your silence? You're thinking about Joanna, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just taking off like that. She still expects me for dinner.
No, we can fix that. We'll put Plan A into effect. Pick up the phone and call her.
What am I going to tell her?
The man is too square for words. Now, look, you simply say that you're working at the office. You're calling from the office. She knows you have a deadline to meet at the book. You're working late. How many times have you had to do that?
A couple of hundred, I guess.
Exactly. That's why she'll believe you.
Hi, honey. How are you? Well, that's what I'm calling about it. I'm at the office, and I'm pretty well into this last chapter. I'd like to work straight through. Yeah, I know. I know. This will be the last time that I can...
Jimmy? I knew it was his voice.
Sure it was a gunshot.
Yes, that's right.
Would you like to sit down and get a glass of water?
Yes, I would like. Really, please. Because I really feel stupid, and I just really want to clear my head.
You didn't see me in there because I left before you got in there. And you know why? Because it's so smoky in there and so noisy in there that I just had to come outside and get a breath.
Oh, I think I better get back.
Now, look, wait a minute. I think you've answered enough questions, and I'll call him and I'll tell him you're with me. Okay?
Well, what about Ken? Why isn't Ken here? I don't know why he isn't here.
Is that Mr. Franklin, the other half of the writing team?
Yeah, the other half of the team. Oh, Ken.
Joe. I know. Just take it easy. I drove up here as fast as I could. Is there anything new?
No, not yet.
Joe, it's incredible. I just saw him this morning at the office.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ken. Lieutenant Columbo, Mr. Franklin.
How you doing?
Well, the question is, how you doing, Lieutenant? Have you come up with any leads, any clues?
It's a little early for that.
Early. Seems to me your men are standing around just marking time. See, if Mrs. Melville were on this case, oh, she'd be leaps and bounds ahead of you by now.
Is that the lady in the books?
That's right. You see, she would have figured it out that this is not just someone missing. This is a professional killing. Look at that. Musto, Delgado, Hathaway, Westlake. Sound familiar?
Yeah, kinda.
Well, they should. That's a list of some of the top men in organized crime on the West Coast. L.A., Vegas, Frisco.
I don't understand.
You see, Jim was researching a complete and factual expose of all West Coast organized crime. I mean, he was going around asking some pretty embarrassing questions, probing, compiling dossiers. That's why they searched this office. Apparently, they got everything but that list.
And you think one of these fellas put out a contract on him?
They knew they couldn't buy him off, so what did they do? They chose the usual alternative.
Professional killing, huh? But if that's true, why did they get rid of the body?
Well, who knows? But remember one thing, without a corpus delicti, you can't prove a murder was committed in the first place.
But why would a professional killer care? I mean, he's already on a plane back from where he came. Now, this thing is folded lengthwise like someone was carrying it in their pocket.
So?
Well, if he typed that on that typewriter, and I'll run a check on that, why would he fold it up before he put it in that drawer? When Mrs. Ferris called you and told you her husband got shot, you jumped in a car and drove right back to L.A., is that right?
That's right.
You know, me, I'd have taken a plane. I mean, it's a big airport, and they run every half hour. It'd have been a lot faster.
Well, that's true, but in a situation like that, who thinks clearly? And look at it this way. You add up all the time it takes to drive to and from an airport, how much time do you really save?
You know, there's one thing about writers that I don't understand. Maybe you can help me clear it up. If a fella's partner dies, does he own the other fella's half of the books, half of the,
Royalties?
Yeah.
No. They go into the deceased's estate.
That leaves you on the cold, doesn't it? Unless, of course, you insured each other.
Lieutenant, aren't we going a bit far astray?
Would you go over for me once again? I know you did it. Exactly what happened when you came home tonight.
Sure, I've already told you, but the moment I saw Jim's body in the middle of the lawn, I Came running in here, and I picked up the phone, and I called you. I mean, it's a purely reflexive action. Is there some reason for your question?
It's your mail.
My mail.
Isn't it funny how people are different? Now, me, if I found my partner dead, I'd never think of opening my letters.
This isn't easy for me. A widow running a small country store, trying to make ends meet.
No, I can understand that. And I also recognize in you a woman of some breeding. I mean, you're not just a common blackmailer.
I'm so glad you're understanding.
How much for your silence?
Oh, Mr. Franklin? Yeah. Do you have a minute?
Is it important?
Well, it could be. You see, I was checking the phone company records in San Diego. On the day of the murder, there was a record of a call from the cabin. It was a call to the Ferris house in Los Angeles.
I see. And now you're wondering whether I can explain that, is that right?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Oh, you're right, I can. But you see, you would have saved both you and me a great deal of trouble if you'd checked with Joanna Ferris first. She would have explained to you that I'd spoken to her from my cabin, telling her that Jim and I had patched up our differences.
But I'm afraid I'm getting a little tipsy.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know if I can trust you. I'll just keep it for a day or two. I've never seen so much money in my life.
Well, maybe we can do the next best thing.
Except for that bottleneck down the road, what was that all about?
Oh, there was a drowning.
Well, what was it, a fisherman?
Well, I heard someone say it was a local woman.
A Miss Lasanka or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know her?
Not really, no.
I was just wondering because when I was in the kitchen before, I noticed a grocery box with her name on it.
I occasionally buy supplies there, sure, like anyone else who lives around here.
I think she was the one that drowned.
Well, if it was her, I'd be very sorry. She was always very friendly.
Yeah, that's a shame. Oh, you did know her?
Lieutenant, I know a lot of people without really knowing them.
So you don't think I'm going to be able to find a cabin to rent, huh?
Best bet is to go down and check with some of the local real estate people.
Uh-huh. Because I think it'd be fun to be neighbors for a couple of weeks. Huh?
Yeah.
Say, what kind of nightlife do you have around here?
Nightlife? None.
No partying?
Just sleep and crickets.
Yeah, I was just wondering because, you know, I didn't want to barge in on you today unannounced.
Well, I'll follow you.
No, last night I called to tell you that I was coming, but there was no one at home.
Didn't she have a bruise on her head?
How did you know that, Ben?
Oh, come on, Sergeant. Doc Webster told us.
All right, so there was a bruise. Probably a result of the boat capsizing and rendering her unconscious.
Any indication the lady was under the influence?
I can't ascertain that until we see an autopsy report. The doctor's working on that right now.
Sounds like drinking to me.
Could she swim?
How in the world would I know a thing like that? I wasn't married to the lady.
Any living relatives?
I don't think so. Somebody said she was a widow.
What about the rowboat?
Rowboat? What about it?
Well, who did it belong to? Where'd it come from?
Belonged to the deceased. I've got witnesses. This is all conjecture, gentlemen. I mean, there's no way of telling. Maybe she did. Who knows? It's also possible that she had a heart seizure or she got dizzy.
Then you think it was an accident?
I certainly don't think it was foul play.
You gonna be in your office this afternoon?
Absolutely.
How long was she in the water, Sergeant?
Oh, I don't know. We'll wait till we get the report. We're starting to cover the same old ground here, gentlemen. Now, why don't you meet me in my office an hour from now?
Well, we got some more questions here. I'd like to...
I'll answer them all then. I'll have the reports, and I'll be able to give you a lot more information.
Okay, Sarge, thank you.
To my Lily, love always, Ken.
I still don't know what this means.
It means that he knew her. It means that he knew her not casually the way he said. It means that he knew her reasonably well. You know what I thought? I thought you and I should talk alone.
You and I have nothing to talk about.
Yes, we do, Mr. Franklin. We have something to talk about. I'm here to arrest you for the murder of your partner.
What?
Now, it's my duty to inform you of your constitutional rights.
Oh, you cut that drivel. I've written that stuff so many times, I know it by heart. And what is this nonsense? You're going to arrest me.
I kind of knew it right from the start. It was nothing definite. It was a lot of little things. Little things. Driving back from San Diego on the day of the murder instead of taking a plane. The open mail. Never showing any genuine emotion for a man that you worked with for 10 years.
With that, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna laugh you right out of court.
But they're not gonna laugh at the insurance policy, are they? I've got a photostatic copy of it here in my pocket. They're gonna laugh at the fact that you withdrew $15,000, put it back the next day. I've got the book that you gave to Miss Lasanka with your signature in it.
You expect to get a true bill of indictment on that trivia? Come on, Lieutenant. I was down in San Diego.
So is your partner.
That's a provocative statement. Can you prove that?
Yes. Not with the witness, because you killed the witness. Suddenly I thought of something. How clever that first murder was. The phone gimmick, working late in the office. Brilliant.
Oh, you awarding gold medals today?
Yes, for the first one, not for the second one. That was sloppy. Mrs. Melville, she'd have been very disappointed.
Well, come on, get to the climax, Lieutenant. You're talking to a writer.
Am I? That's not what I heard. And that's the key, that you're not a writer. When Mrs. Ferris told me that you didn't contribute to the writing, that her husband did all the work,
That's a lie.
I had to say to myself, how could a man with no talent for mysteries make up such a clever murder? If you were that ingenious, you'd be able to write your own books. And I got it. The first one, the clever one, that wasn't yours. The second one, the sloppy one, that was yours. But not the first. Is this your partner's handwriting? Well, I think I can prove it is. Maybe I ought to read this to you. Idea for a Melville book, perfect alibi. A wants to kill B. Drives B to a remote house and has him call his wife in city. Tells her he's working late at the office. Bang, bang. Sound familiar? That's the part you used. Practically word for word. Should I read some more?
No. You want to know the irony of all of this? That is my idea. The only really good one I ever had. I must have told it to Jim over 5 years ago. Whoever thought that idiot would write it down?
Just one more thing.